Okay, ladies, I would say that my level of frustration right now is pretty high because I just got bumped out again off of Facebook Live. So now I'm trying on my phone, and if it doesn't work on my phone, then it's not my connection, it's Facebook. Although I really do think it's my connection. So, although I do still have internet access, so I'm not really on my computer, so I'm really not quite sure. It might really just be a Facebook problem, but we'll see. I'm going to try one more time. If this doesn't work right now, we're going to give up for now, and we're going to try again later, or I'm going to record this and just put it out there later, and we won't do it live. But anyway, I was trying to say, we need to think about the company's culture. So do an assessment of what you liked and what you didn't like in your previous company and what is important to you. Hi, Lynn. This is my third try to do this live today. So I'm doing it on my phone now. So I'm really hoping this works. So assess what it was that you liked and didn't like, and the culture and the type of organization you want to work for. I was just talking a little bit about how certain industries and certain organizations are known for certain things. Look at what that company is known for in the media. Do they support things that you support, that you can get behind? You might think that that doesn't matter and, you're just there to do a job. But, again, companies are made up of people. And the people that work there are very likely to be people that support the mission or goals of the company in the community or in the world. And things like that are really important, so you want to make sure that you will be a fit in that organization and that you will enjoy working there. Because if you have to, hey, Jennifer, I'm trying again. So if you enjoy working there, you're going to stay there. You're going to do well. You're going to thrive, right? If you don't enjoy working there, you're going to be looking for a job again. And it's really not my goal to put every one of you through, these workshops 100 times in your lifetime. I really want to teach you some things that you can use on rinse and repeat, right? About finding a job, and that you won't put yourselves in situations where you have to find another job again, before too long. So, so some of the things to think about, yes, definitely are, check the company's website, look at the language that they use, do some research, just in the news and see what that company is doing. What kind of a corporate citizen is this company, or do they have lawsuits against them for, environmental, illegal dumping of waste, or, are they starting a program for, literacy for disadvantaged youth or something, so there's companies do all sorts of different things, right? And the media reports them. So we want to learn about that in an impartial way, but then we also want to look at, what do they put on their website? And again, some companies, you can really kind of tell whether they really live their mission or whether their mission is just a bunch of words that they just kind of put somewhere because they know they have to have a mission, right? They have to have a mission statement. You can even really tell, does the mission statement look like a bunch of cliche nonsense? Like how I talk about your resume, don't put a bunch of cliche nonsense on your resume. Oh, I have good communication skills, or I'm a team player, or whatever. You can also look at mission statements and kind of make that assessment as well. Does it look like something that was somebody really thought about it, or does it look like everybody else's mission statement? Just, we are good, we are good people, work with us, If it's not a little bit more creative than that, and there's really nothing to support it in what you're seeing them doing, then they probably really don't have a very strong mission. Do they have a diversity and inclusion officer or a diversity inclusion department within their company? Is there anything on their website about diversity and inclusion, if that's something that's important to you, which really it should be? Is that there? Is that there? So you want to take a look at that. You also want to take a look at who are the leaders of the company. So even though you may not be reporting to the CEO, take a look at, usually, the org chart, at least at the highest level, is available on a company website, right? Like who's the CEO, the CFO, the chief, the CIO, the chief information officer, the head of human resources, all those types of people, right? The head legal counsel, those people usually all have you see their pictures and maybe even their bios, or at least the CEO's bio. And, of course, you can look up who the senior leaders are on LinkedIn as well. They usually will have a presence there. Look at those people. What do they represent? What kind of things are they posting out in the world? What kind of things are they seem to be supporting? What kind of people are that? Is there a video that you can find of the CEO talking about the company or the company's mission? Look at the diversity of those people. Do any of them look like you? Do they all look the same? Does it look like an environment that would be friendly, for you to work in? So take a look at that. Look at your connections. Look at all the people who might work there or who have worked there, right? So start with your LinkedIn connections again. Get back in with that networking. Start to talk to people about what it's like working there. And honestly, here's a tip. If you ask somebody that currently works there, there's a good chance that unless they're planning on quitting tomorrow, they might not want to tell you that it's a terrible place to work, because they don't want anyone to know they said that. But if they're a former employee, they might be much more likely to tell you, honestly, how they feel about working there. And again, sometimes maybe they will tell you that it wasn't a terrible place to work, but it wasn't the right place for them. And again, obviously, you always have to take information, where it comes from, right? So if somebody says they didn't like working somewhere, and that person is very different than you, right? And has different values than you and wants a different type of environment than you, then, maybe it's a great place for you, we don't, and that's why reviews are really, reviews are almost ridiculous in a way, unless it's for a product that arrived broken or something, but reviews are really useless because even with my fiction writing, there are people who love my books, there are people who hate my books, and it's hilarious. Sometimes I'll get a review that says, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, and then the next review says, this was so amazing, I laughed for hours, thank you so much for writing this. It's like, what? It's the same thing. So you have to think about that, so if you look at reviews of companies on LinkedIn or on Glassdoor or on Indeed or any of these other places, Monster, any of these other places where there are company reviews listed by people who used to work there or who currently work there, you have to remember again that, they could be a disgruntled employee. They could be a bad employee, who really didn't do what they were supposed to. And that's why they don't like working there because, they were reprimanded for it. You don't know the people leaving the reviews, so therefore you don't know the quality of that information, right? However, if a company has, 100 reviews and 99 of them said that it's a terrible place to work and you're seeing a lot of the same themes about why, and those are things that resonate with you and that wow, I wouldn't like that either, then, maybe those are red flags. So those are the types of things to evaluate. You want to remember that you're also interviewing the interviewer when you're interviewing, right? When you're considering an opportunity. And I know it's really easy right now to fall into the trap of I'm unemployed, life is scary, the sky is falling, everything's bad. I've been out of work for a long time, and to not remember your value and not remember your worth and not tap into that. If you go, how would things change if you went into an interview instead of the attitude of, I really hope they like me, I really hope they hire me, I really hope I don't screw this up, to, wow, I wonder how I might be able to help this organization with all the amazing skills and abilities I have. And it would be really interesting to find out how I might be able to do that and what I can offer them. So think about it in terms of what you're offering them, right? As opposed to what you want them to offer you. So I always recommend that, right? Think about it from a place of service. But what that does is it changes your mindset from, I'm desperate for a job, I hope they give me one, to let me see if I want to give them my services, right? Let me see if this is someplace that is worthy of me. And you'll be surprised how much better you do at the interview, how much better you feel, how much less nervous you are, and how much more confident you feel, and then how much more you have a chance of getting that offer that you really want, that you can then evaluate. So, you want to talk to the interviewer about things like, what drew you to the company? What do you love about working about the company? What are some things you wish that you could change about the company, or that you're working on changing about the company in your role? What does success look like in this role? What's happening in the business that created this role? You know, did the last person leave the company? Did the last person get promoted? Did the last person get fired? You know, like what happened to the person, you know, or is this a new position? Is it new growth that has created this position? What is the initial training going to look like? You know, what training and development opportunities does your company offer? Talk about things like, I'm sorry, I just want to look at one other thing here because there were some really funny, there were really some funny ones in one of these, and I really wanted to share some of them. You know, so what does that look like, right? So how do the people get along here? You know, are the people very friendly here? Does everyone just come in, heads down, do their work? Do people make friends in the workplace? Is that something that's fostered here? Or is it something that is encouraged? You know, do you do any like team building activities? You know, anything that the employees do together that they're either offered that they can do or they're required to do? And again, think about it. There are people that want that. There are people that want to go into a company where there's all sorts of fun team building activities and they want to meet people and they want to make friends and, you know, they want it to be one big happy family. And then there are people who really don't want that work environment. They're introverted. They're not interested in making friends at work. They like to keep work and you know, personal very separate, and they just want to go in and do their work and be done and go home, and they don't want to go to your happy hour, and they don't want to play in your basketball game and go to your bowling night or whatever, and they think that's all a big pain in the neck, right? So that's where, you know, thinking about what's important to you really counts, and how like there are some people who would love a certain environment and some people that would think it was so annoying, right? And not really giving them any value. One thing that you really want to talk about right now, of course, is the pandemic. The way a company is handling this right now, the way anybody is handling this right now says a lot about them. And I think that it's something that you will be asked, and you probably are being asked in interviews right now, you know, maybe in a roundabout way or maybe in a really flat out, how are you doing with all this stuff way. But a lot of people are really suffering right now, of course, emotionally and even physically, mentally, you know, with this pandemic situation. And, you know, obviously it's a two-way street. Everybody is suffering, right? Everybody is suffering to some degree and in some way, their lives are being very affected by this, right? So, and obviously some more than others, some in different ways. I always say we're all in the same water, but we're not in the same boat, right? Somebody's in a yacht, somebody's in a canoe, you know, and everything in between. Somebody's boat's taking on water. Somebody's boat is on smoother sailing, right? But we're all in the same water. So everyone's being affected by this. So you have to remember again that companies are made up of people, right? Employees are people just like you, right? So the person who's interviewing you is a human being just like you. So how are they coping with this situation internally? You know, a lot of companies have had to move, you know, their operations to, you know, online. They've had to move the way they deal, not only the way the employees work, but the way they work with customers and suppliers, and, you know, all sorts of things have had to move online. In addition to, you know, a tremendous amount of remote work being done, right? A lot of people were already doing that, and they probably had a very seamless transition to doing this. Like I know my son's company, for instance, he works for a design firm in Chicago. They already were able to work from home anytime they wanted. They had full flexibility with that. They had a very seamless, as far as the work getting done, a very seamless path to dealing with this pandemic, you know, and everybody going remote. It was like nothing. It's, you know, they've handled it really, really well. And then there are other companies that have done this kicking and screaming. The managers don't want people working from home. They don't like remote work. They like everybody in the office. Their systems and the way they do things are not set up, you know, to not be face-to-face. They're not used to doing meetings that way. They're not used to dealing with their customers that way, selling their products that way. You know, some companies, it's like a revolution, right? They have to create new marketing materials to sell their products or services in a different way now. You know, so think about the industry and the organization that you're interviewing with, and think about how much of an impact has COVID had on them. And ask those questions. You know, how much of an impact has this had on your business? How different are things now? How is your company adjusting? How are the employees adjusting? What are some of the challenges that you're facing? This one tells you how they're doing with it, right? It also tells you it also gives you an opportunity to tell them how you can contribute in a positive way to it, right? So you certainly don't ever want to tell them, I'm freaking out about COVID morning, noon, and night, and, I'm doing terribly with it, and I have 6 kids, and they're all going to have to be homeschooled, and my husband doesn't help me. We don't tell them that. We want to use any of these conversations as an opportunity to show how we would add value, right, in that situation. So I would ask those questions and really look for some signs that, people are handling it. Now, are you going to really, really get a sense that everything is amazing right now? You have to think about that too, because there's also this thing people do called lying, right? So when somebody is overly enthusiastic, or they act like, wow, no, it's been no problem for us at all. Everything's great. We are amazing people, and, we did it all, and we're good now, and they don't talk about any challenges. For instance, I'm sure if I were to talk to the leaders in my son's business, who I think it seems like they've done a tremendous job with this, I'm sure they wouldn't say, oh, it was no problem at all, and there was no adjustment, and everything's fine. I'm sure they would tell me about how it was difficult to transition to working with their customers this way, not being able to present their design solutions in person, not being able to go on in-person sales calls to actually talk with people and do things like that, not be able to go to events where they can network with people. There's no gallery openings happening in Chicago right now and things like that, so and professional association meetings, and they weren't able to hire the people that they wanted to hire right away, right? So all those things. So even though they did a great job, I'm sure they would tell me about some challenges. So same thing, if they tell you everything was peachy keen, they're probably lying. But if they also look like a deer in the headlights, like they're living in panic terror still from this, and everything's a disaster, then you have to think about, do you want to go into a situation like that? So this one article here I think is hilarious that I pulled up, and I wanted to share a couple of things about this, and a couple of these I really like, because obviously right now you're going to be probably interviewing remotely, and probably even interviewing to work remotely, right? So some of this stuff doesn't apply, but we're not going to be working remotely forever, and there are many people who have gone back into offices, even though I don't know if that was a good idea or not. I'm not here to judge that or not judge that in this call. But there are a lot of things. So one of the things in this article, it says they make a big deal out of the ping pong table. And it says having a ping pong table is fine, bragging about one is not. Why? So it sounds like what they're saying here is that a lot of companies do things like that for lip service, to pretend that they have like a fun culture, like they're just promoting all this fun. But that if they're emphasizing that too much, it may be a red flag, because it may be that they just think that that's what the employees want, or that's an easy way, to make people happy, is to just, give them, I don't know, free coffee in the morning, or free breakfast in the morning, or give them, oh, we have bowling night, or we have, and some of that stuff is fun, and some of that stuff can be really nice. But if you're really perceiving that they're doing some of these things and they're making a big deal out of them, just like they're trying too hard to be fun, like they're trying too hard to be like the fun mom and the fun dad, and they're going overboard, and you're just like, okay, you're not really that fun, and I also don't need you to be that fun. I'm really more concerned about other stuff. So kind of just, I like that, because I think that's a good thing to think about, like are they a little too excited about some things that aren't really that important, and are they using some of that to gloss over deficiencies, that where things are really important? And then also, if they're that concerned about your fun, how hard are they working you? Sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, well, we work hard, but we play hard, and it's like, how hard do you work, and how much time is this all going to take out of my life, so you need to think about that. One of the other ones here that I think is hilarious is it says the place is a dump. So they're talking about basically the physical space, being hideous. You're not seeing the physical space now, probably, in a lot of cases, and that does put you at a little bit of a deficit and a detriment. I would look at the company's Facebook page, Instagram, things like that. See if you can see photos of things that they've posted before they went remote, and just kind of see, like, what does their physical space look like? Do they even show that? What kind of things do they post about? What kind of things are important to them? because what you post about is what's important to you, right? I mean, even your own Facebook page, if I go to any of your Facebook pages and I see what you've posted about, that's going to tell me what you're interested in, right? I mean, if you don't like cats, you're not going to post about cats, right? Or whatever, right? So that really can tell you a lot about what they value and what's important to them. So look at their other social media accounts other than just their LinkedIn or their website, because that's the really super corporate-y part, right? But the other part where there's a little bit more of a social component, you can really see some stuff there. You know, and I think some of the stuff here in this article is just really funny, you know, but there's really some good things here. Another thing that's really interesting is wanting to know if people work 1 million hours, right? So obviously you don't want to ask, you know, how many hours a week do you expect somebody to work? Because then it makes it look like you don't want to work a lot of hours, right? You could rephrase that in a more creative way. You could say something like, is this an early office or a late office? You know, are people here more likely to come in really early and get started, or are they more likely to stay late? That's a thing. I mean, you know, I think we've all known people who are either, you know, their energy level is more in the morning, or their energy level is more in the later afternoon. And there's two things you get out of that. One, they may tell you, no, well, we all work the exact same hours. You're expected to be here at this time. You're expected to stay till this time. These are our core hours. You have to work these hours. Or if they say, yeah, we have really flexible schedules. People work all different hours. We have some people that come in at 9 or 10 and stay till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. We have some people that come in you know, really early in the morning because they need to leave early to pick up their kids, and we let them do that. That's fine with them, you know, fine for us. You know, we really just care that you get the work done. It depends on the role, whatever, right? But you can get a lot of information out of that and really learn, like, you know, what is that environment really like, and how much, again, because they can say to you, oh, we value work-life balance, you know, or we value diversity, or any of this stuff. But if you see pictures of all white old men on their leadership board, and you don't see anything about diversity and inclusion on their website, they probably don't value diversity. And if you see, you know, people working 1 million hours and in a stringent schedule, and, you know, they don't let people ever go home, then, you know, they don't value work-life balance or work-life integration. So, you know, you want to ask questions and then really look for validation of that information. So that's something really important. You know, and I think the other thing is you really sometimes have to just go with your gut. Sometimes you talk to somebody either on the phone or on a Zoom call or even in person, you know, depending on how you're interviewing, and you just get a bad vibe. You know, you just get a bad vibe. And a bad vibe, you know, is that always a no? Maybe not. If you've done, you know, you have to look at the totality of your research, right? Everything is not going to be perfect. You know, we all want to find the company that has, you know, everyone says it's great to work there, and they pay really well, and their benefits are excellent, and they're a great corporate citizen, and they have a great diversity program, and they have a diverse leadership, and their leadership seem like wonderful people who post about great things, and they support all the causes and things that you're interested in, and they are the best people in the world, and they have the best sales, and they're growing, and they're killing it in their market, and, you know, obviously and they work in a beautiful office, and they have all these perks, and everything's great. You know, everyone gets along and skips and holds hands, you know. Obviously that's the ideal world, right? But, you know, we don't live in an ideal world. Certainly right now we don't, right? So I'm not suggesting that you should discount anything, you know, being potentially not what you want in the environment. But I think that you just need to do this exercise, and you need to make sure that you don't forget this exercise, because it is the final piece in the puzzle. You know, yesterday we talked about negotiating your compensation and, you know, getting the best salary offer and how to deal with all that. Well, now that you have that offer and you're getting ready to accept it, really the other thing you have to do is, and hopefully you've done some of this work beforehand, before you even interviewed or applied with the company, and continue to work on this throughout the process. But, you know, you want to remember this piece, and you want to do a check again on this piece. You know, are there enough checks in the plus column of what I want in a culture, in an environment, that I am going to be able to do this job? Because we all want to get the job, but you have to think about what it is going to be like in the day-to-day to actually do the job. So that is very important. So I hope this was helpful, ladies, and I'm sorry that we had so many technical difficulties in the end. I think the second video that I did that actually got cut off, I'm probably going to leave up on Facebook Live, only because I think I said some things in there maybe I didn't say. in this one. The first one was basically me saying hi, and then I got cut off pretty much, so I'm going to kill that one. But I apologize for the technical difficulties, and I'm just hoping my internet stays stable today. Actually, I just see I lost my internet again on my computer, so I have a lot of videos to do today, and I don't see how they're going to get done. But anyway, that's my problem. You guys have a wonderful day, and let me know if you have any questions about any of the things we covered this week in the challenge and anything at all about career. Thanks. Bye-bye.